Welcome to tonight's video on section 5.858 part 1. It's class number 8 of the semester. First, we're going to review how to solve equations, linear equations like this. Remember, you want to get the x's to one side, so here you'd subtract the 2x, and then you add the 5, and you get x equals 13. That's a linear equation. Quadratic equation, right, when you have the x squared, remember that's when you're first going to factor, but first you have to set equal to 0. So you have to get the 6 on one side. And then you can factor. The factors of -6 that add to -5 are -6 and +1. So you go x minus 6, x plus 1 equals 0. Then you set each one equal to 0, x minus 6, x plus 1. So you get x equals 6 and x equals -1. Those are your two answers. Now, inequalities, a linear inequality, you do the same thing as a linear equation. Remember, you move the x's to one side, preferably the left, so you get -3x, and move the numbers to the right, so you get less than 9. And then you divide by the -3, and remember when you divide by the -3, you flip the inequality, so it gets you x's greater than -3. And remember, interval notation, if it's greater than -3, -3 comes first, and then infinity comes second. A quadratic inequality, you solve like a quadratic equation. You get all the x's on one side. So you add 23x and 7 and get it greater than 0. Then remember you factor. So the factors of 42, because 7 times 6 is 42, that add to 23 are 21 and +2. And remember, you'd go 6x plus 21 and 6x plus 2. Divide by the common factor, which in this case is 3. So you get 2x plus 7. And here the common factor is 2, so 3x plus 1. And then remember, you find out what numbers make it equal to 0. Well, here it would be x equals -7/2, because you set them equal to 0. And here it would be -1/3. So those are what are called your critical numbers. -7/2 and then -1/3. So then you make a chart. And you see what place it works. So, for example, x equals -7/2 is -3 1/2, so -4. If I put -4 in here, 2 times -4 plus 7 would give me a negative number, because it gives me -1. 3 times -4 is -12, plus 1 is -11, so that gives you negative. But when you multiply them, it gives you a positive. Here, if you say let x equal -1, well, 2 times -1 plus 7 is a positive number. 3 times -1 plus 1 is negative, but when you multiply them together, it gives you negative as well. Here, let x equal 0, and you get positive, positive, positive. So now you look, since it's greater than, you're looking for the positive ones, which are these two. Here, when you multiply them together. So your answer in interval notation is less than -7/2, because that's this one here, and it's greater than -1/3. So those are your two intervals there. So solving a rational equation, you want to find what the LCD would be. In this case, 5, 2, and 10, the LCD would be 10. So you're going to multiply each term by 10 to cancel the fractions. So when I multiply here by 10, that goes in twice, so you get 2m. This goes in 5 times, so minus 5. And this is 3 tenths. So 10 cancels out with 10, so it's equal to 3. So now you do not have any more fractions. And then you can solve this equation. 2m minus 5 equals 3. It's a linear equation because there's no squared. So it's 2m equals 8 and m equals 4. For this inequality, it's the same thing. The LCD here is 12. So I have to multiply each term by 12 to cancel the fractions. And don't forget that 3 is also a term, so you have to multiply that by 12. Notice here, 4 goes into 12 3 times, so I have 3 times x minus 4. 12 goes into 12 once, so it's just 5x. And then 12 times 3 is 36. Moving everything over to one side after I distribute, so I get 3x minus 12. And then I bring this over, so minus 5x and plus 36 greater than or equal to 0. So I get negative 2x and then positive 24. So now, since it's not quadratic, I can move the 24 over, so I get negative 2x is greater than or equal to negative 24. Then I divide by negative 2 and get x is less than or equal to 12, because you have to flip the inequality because you're dividing by a negative. In interval notation, that means you go from negative infinity to positive 12. All right, the last two here, the LCD here of 9, 2, 18. So then 9 goes into 18 twice. We have 2x squared. 6 goes into 18 3 times, minus 3x. 2 goes into 18 9 times, minus 9. And 0 times 18 is 0. So the 2 times negative 9 is negative 18. So the factors of negative 18 that add to negative 3 are negative 6 and positive 3. So you have 2x minus 6 and 2x plus 3 equals 0. Remember, you divide by the common factor here of 2, so you get x minus 3. Here there is no common factor, so you keep it as 2x plus 3. Then you set them equal to 0, and you get x equals 3. And in this case, you get x equals negative 3 halves. Those are your two answers. For this one here, the common denominator would be 30. So 15 goes into 30 twice, so you get 2x squared. 6 goes into 35 times, and 5 goes into 36 times. From here, you distribute the 5, so you get 5x plus 10. Then you combine like terms, so you have minus 2. 10 minus 12 is negative 2. Then you bring everything over to the left, so you have 2x squared minus 5x plus 2 is less than 0. Actually, it's less than or equal to, from the original. Now you factor. So the factors of 4, which add to negative 5, are negative 4 and negative 1. So it's 2x minus 4, 2x minus 1. Divide by 2 here, you get x minus 2 and 2x minus 1. And that means that x equals 2 and x equals 1/2. Those are the numbers that would make them equal to 0. Now you make your chart, because it's a quadratic inequality. So you have 1/2 and 2. And then remember you have x minus 2, 2x minus 1, and the product of x minus 2 times 2x minus 1. You can put 0 in because that's less than 1/2. You could put 1 in, that's between 1/2 and 2, and you could put 3 in. When you put 0 in here, you get a negative, negative, and when you multiply them, you get positive. When you put 1 in, you get negative. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. 2 times 1 minus 1 is positive 1. And when you multiply them, you get negative. 3 minus 2 is positive. 2 times 3 minus 1 is positive. Multiply them is positive. Now, if you notice, because it's less than or equal to, that means you're looking for the negative for the product. And that is in the middle there. So that means it's between 1/2 and 2. And you put brackets on both of them because it's less than or equal to. So that's your final answer. All right, hope this video has helped, and I will see you guys tomorrow night in class, or tomorrow afternoon. Have a good evening.